What's up, guys? So, I got another big package in from Japan after yet another very long fight with the import authorities, the fascist cunts. Uh, but I managed to get the package out of their clutches, and this time, as you can see here, I got myself an FM Towns all-in-one unit. These are very, very handsome little pieces of kit. They are very nice, and as you can see, it's fully functioning. Very nice overall. I'm hoping to be able to take this with me to like meetups and stuff like that, where there is a bunch of guys from all over the country, and they like. There's a city where we kind of where we meet up, with the intention of playing retro games and bringing our hardwares and showing them. So I could bring this because I don't think anyone else has an FM Towns. Maybe someone has a Marty. So anyway, it would be fun. And in addition, in the package was this thing here, which is a Roland mixer unit. Now, what I need this for is when you have. I have a bunch of computers with MIDI output capabilities, and they don't have the ability to mix the MIDI track in with the audio from the game. So you need some sort of mixer, and just hooking them together via some sort of joiner that doesn't work optimally. So you need something like this. Most people buy those little console units, but I think they're ugly. I went for this one. It remains to be seen how good it is. Let me turn this thing off. And in addition, there was something else. If you can may recognize here, it's an X68000 ACE. And as you can see, it's pretty much taken apart. And the reason for that is because I turned it on and it actually booted up for a few seconds. I was kind of surprised because I was counting on this like not working. And indeed, it did stop working after a few seconds. And the reason for that, let me show you here. A very well-known problem is the power supplies of these machines here. They are plagued by very bad capacitors that after a few years, after a decade or so maybe, they start leaking. And you can see it here. Like for example, yeah, you can see most of these, especially these Elna, the red ones here, and that black one over here, they start leaking a very corrosive liquid all over the board here, and they start wreaking havoc on all the other components and traces. I think I caught this one in time. It remains to be seen. Usually, if you replace the capacitors and you clean up all the capacitor fluid that has leaked and gone about, it should be able to spring back to life. But I've heard from other users of the X68000 that, these power supplies, they are kind of finicky. So I have a backup plan for that, and that's this old IBM Pc here, which I found like in the trash somewhere. There were a whole bunch of these being thrown out. Unfortunately, I only managed to salvage 2, and the reason for that is because of the slim profile of these. I knew that they would have a very small power supply inside them. So I'm going to get a few more X68000 towers in. If any of those are so far gone in the power supply that the power supply cannot be used anymore, I'm hoping to be able to use one of these babies here, because it's just small enough that I think I might be able to take the components and fit them inside the enclosure designed for this, or just, I don't know, figure something out. But I like to keep things original, so I would really prefer if that was not the case, like that it would work. And a bonus thing, with this machine came this thing here. This is a memory expansion. Now the ACE models stock came with only 1 megabyte of memory, and 1 megabyte really isn't enough to be able to enjoy the vast majority of the titles for the X68000, especially the very desirable arcade ports. You need at least 2 megabytes for those. Some games require even more than that, but you know, I have my compact for those. I think it's equipped with 8 megabytes or something. But this I really bought because I wanted to, well, for one, I really love the stylings of the X68000, the tower. I think it is the most beautiful computer ever created. So I've always wanted one. But for some reason, when a few years back, when I decided that I wanted to buy my first Japanese computer, and I decided that it had to be an X68000 because it is the obvious choice, for some reason I ended up with a compact instead. I think maybe my reasoning at that time was, well, it has 3.5-inch floppies. Maybe it'll be easier for me to like roll my own games and test it out immediately. But of course, in the end, I ended up putting a flash hard drive inside it, so the point was moot. I now have a bunch of like original software for the X68000, so it kind of makes sense for me to have the tower. And if not, I just wanted one just to be able to have one because I think it's beautiful. And the reason why I bought the FM Towns all in one, when I already have that little guy over there with the upgraded CPU and more memory, that should give me all I need. The reason why I bought this was kind of an impulse purchase, really. You see, I decided that I wanted a original monitor for each of my Japanese computers. So I already have a monitor for my X68000, which I finally managed to like find all the cold solder joints in, and now it works perfectly. And I wanted one for the FM Towns as well. So I started bidding on various the monitors that show up for on Yahoo auctions for this model, and the monitors for that thing are like monstrous. They're huge, very, very big. And as with everything else for the FM Town system, they're not very cheap, you know. So I ended up losing a bunch of auctions, and they don't show up that often either. It's the same with the X68000, really. The monitors, they don't show up that often. I don't know why. I guess people just threw them out, but kept the machines. So there aren't that many in circulation. Anyway, then this little guy showed up, and what attracted me to this was that it came with a mouse and a keyboard. And I also wanted a keyboard and a mouse for the FM Towns. I was looking for those separately as well. So I thought, well, the mouse probably would cost me about 5,000 yen. The keyboard, God knows what, somewhere between 5,000 yen and 10,000 yen maybe. And I thought, you know what, if I buy this thing, not only do I get a monitor, even though it's a small one, but I also get the keyboard and the mouse. And that kind of subsidizes the whole cost. So I bet on it and I ended up winning it. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it was a good enough price, you know. Certainly less than if I had to buy the monitor, keyboard, and mouse separately. And so, yeah, unfortunately, it made the trip safely. And yeah, I guess that is it for now. What I need to do now is to now that I'm doing the power supply, recapping the power supply for the X68000, what I usually do with the machines that I want to keep for myself is that I recap everything. I did that for the compact, because that also arrived with a bad power supply, but I also exchanged all the other capacitors on there. I also did that for the monitor. I'm not going to do it for this because this model is not known to have anything wrong with it. So I'm just going to keep it as is. And besides, I've heard that this thing is a real bitch to take apart. It's something about you have to remove the monitor before you can get to the innards. Yeah, that's not going to be fun. I've recapped that completely as well. So I'm going to do that for the X68000 as well. But it's a long process. I have to take each board and remove every capacitor and then note down the values, and then once I have a big list, I'll go and try and find the best replacements within my price range. So yeah, it's gonna take a month or two before this thing is over. And besides, I got like 3 more of these towers coming, because suddenly a whole glut of them came up for sale on Yahoo auctions, and they were just selling for almost nothing because they were all being sold as junk, as they probably mostly are. You know, these models are known to have you know, bad power supplies, bad capacitors in the power supplies. So if you have one of those and it has not been recapped, you got to do it. I mean, it's just a question of time. So when those come in, I'm gonna have to replace the capacitors in those as well. But I'm probably not gonna bother with a complete recap. I'm just gonna recap the power supplies, because the other capacitors, that it's not really necessary. They're not known to be to fail. Oh yeah, and there is one other thing that is a common failure point on these, and a problem, and that is right here. It's the battery. There's I think it's a nickel cadmium battery, and it is placed on the bottom board here. This is at the base. You have this board here, and the battery is soldered in here. And what that does is that it also starts spilling a very corrosive liquid, and I don't know if it's clear here. You can see these pads that kind of look dull. That's the battery liquid at work there. So it already started to break down some things. Yeah, hopefully I got this in time as well. Who knows? So yeah, that's it for now, I guess. I'll make a update video when I have this baby up and running. See you around, guys.